This world is covered in mist, and within the mist, the space is chaotic. In that mist, countless treasures known as wonders were born, possessing various incredibly magical abilities. In that mist, countless spaces blend together. In the misty world, zombies, demons, and ghosts run rampant. In the misty world, technology, magic, fighting spirit, magic, martial arts, and various powers are displayed through strange objects. Feng, who came from Earth, suddenly arrived in this misty world and became a lord. Let's see how Feng led his territory to grow and become the strongest lord in the misty world. Keywords of the novel. Misty World Lord No Pop-ups, Misty World Lord TXT Complete Collection Download, Misty World Lord Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. Rebirth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Rebirth. Well, the unfamiliar ceiling, where am I? Feng opened his eyes and looked at the brown-gray wooden ceiling in front of him, stuttering. Where am I? Didn't I get an electric shock? Which hospital is this? And there's such an ancient ceiling. Looking at the wooden ceiling arranged above her head, Feng's thoughts wandered for a moment. Feng was originally a member of a flower grower, but his novels gained some popularity on the internet, allowing him to become a professional author. This kind of work makes most of Feng stay at home and doesn't need to be busy working outside. Because of this, Feng has a lot of time and has read a lot of novels, movies, TV dramas, anime, and so on. To some extent, it is not an exaggeration for Feng to call him an otaku. One day, while coding, Feng accidentally knocked over the water cup beside him and fainted due to an electric shock. When Feng woke up again, he saw the unfamiliar ceiling above his head. At this moment, a pile of scattered memories suddenly came to Feng's mind, causing him to faint again. When Feng woke up again, his mind had already received those memories. Looking at the memories in his mind, Feng felt a bit incredulous. I have traveled through such a unique world now. As a novelist, Feng used to fantasize about what would happen if he had traveled, but now that he has truly traveled, Feng has actually calmed down. The owner of this body, also known as Feng, is 15 years old and has a 10-year-old sister named Du. He is the son of the lord of this territory and holds a high position. However, the mother of this body died due to a sudden fog incident after giving birth to Feng's sister. And a few days ago, Feng's father also died together to resist the monster rushing out of the fog. And this body, due to the battle, suffered serious injuries, fainted, and died silently. Then it was occupied by the passing Feng. I am also a protagonist template, with a sister and a house, and both parents' deaths. Feng thought somewhat self-deprecatingly. At this moment, Feng, who had regained consciousness, wanted to struggle to sit up, but his injuries were not yet healed. A wound that pierced through his chest had just stopped bleeding, and Feng's movements affected the wound. The intense pain instantly made Feng's face look somewhat grim. Hiss. The intense pain made Feng couldn't help but take a cold breath. Struggling but unable to get up, Feng had to continue lying in bed. In Feng's mind, there is a memory of this body. This world is not an ordinary one, it is surrounded by mist and mist. The sky, underground, and surroundings are all shrouded in white mist. In the mist, the space was very chaotic, with fragmented plots constantly changing. If an ordinary person walks in, then the space behind them may change the next moment as soon as they step in. Only lords who master the unique items of the territory can use the power of the unique items of the territory to stabilize the misty space in a short period of time and search for the supplies inside. But in the mist, those small plots are not safe either, and there are all kinds of monsters, such as Warcraft, undead, zombie, distortion, demon, and so on, terrifying and ferocious. Or various enemies of different races from countless worlds. However, in such a chaotic and foggy environment, some treasures may also be born in special circumstances, which are called wonders by the people of this world. These strange creatures are diverse and have different abilities, possessing various magical powers. The people who can obtain the power of these strange creatures form the backbone of human defense against monsters in the mist. These people who have obtained strange things are commonly referred to as the envoys of strange things. Among these wonders, there is a special one called territorial wonders. The unique feature of a territory is its ability to carve out a stable area in the mist. In these areas, humans can survive normally. In the mist, the space is chaotic. Although there may be some small plots, the space within these plots is chaotic. If there are no unique territorial objects, it is possible to cultivate a field today, and the next day, this field will be replaced by a pile of stones due to the chaotic space in the mist world. Perhaps the house was just built today, and I was killed by a monster that suddenly appeared next to me in my sleep at night due to space transfer. According to the historical records of the territory, it was built during the period of Di Feng's great-grandfather. Di Feng's great-grandfather came from a large territory. The entire territory has a population of over 100,000, but due to its unique features, it naturally ranks higher than ordinary people. The lords of that territory, their relatives, and the unique features of those territories have caused the nobles to oppress ordinary people in the territory, causing unbearable suffering for the lower-class people. In an accident, Di Feng's great-grandfather obtained a territory item and became the item envoy. After learning about his ability to obtain strange things, Di Feng's great-grandfather resolutely left the territory with a group of companions and neighbors who were also from the lower class and entered the mist. In the mist, Di Feng's great-grandfather found a piece of land with a plain and flowing water, used the unique features of the territory, stabilized the land, and established the current territory. However, because the level of this territory's peculiar objects is not high, the entire territory only has an area of about 4 square kilometers. The reason for this determination is because in Di Feng's memory, the entire territory is roughly a square piece of land with blunt corners, and the distance from one side to the other is 2 kilometers when walking vertically. Until now, the population of the territory is less than 2,000 people, relying on farming, picking wild fruits, and hunting, barely able to be self-sufficient. Many years after Di Feng's great-grandfather established his territory, he died in battle due to a fog incident. Mist event refers to a monster from an unknown source accidentally passing through a more chaotic interior space in the fog, exiting the fog and entering the territory. These foggy monsters may be ferocious warcraft, powerful monsters, or other alien races. Of course, it is also possible that some ordinary wild beasts exist. In order to resist these various monsters emerging from the mist, the territory had to train warriors to fight against these monsters, and each battle was exceptionally cruel. Due to the limited territory area, resources can only be obtained through intermittent fog exploration, making each fog event a challenge for the territory. After the death of Di Feng's great-grandfather in battle, his grandfather inherited the strange object of the Lord and took over the territory. All strange items, after having a user, can only be used by the next person after the user dies. This person is a blood relative of the Lord, such as a child or brother. If there is no blood relative, the strange item will become a regular item again, waiting for the next chance person. Moreover, the ways in which strange things are contracted vary, and the types of strange things vary. It's possible that by taking a sip of water from a cup, you can contract something special. It is possible that you kicked a stone on the roadside, which is a strange object, and the contract is to kick it at a fixed time. Therefore, the birth of strange objects is very random, and only when a strange object causes its own unique object to automatically spread through the bloodstream, is this a stable way to obtain strange objects. After Di Feng's grandfather inherited the territory, 30 years later, Di Feng's grandfather also died in a battle against those misty monsters. Afterwards, the unique items of the territory were passed down to Di Feng's father. Di Feng's father managed the territory for 20 years, but also died in this battle. Now, the strange things of the territory have reached the hands of Di Feng, who has become the new lord. Lying in bed now, Feng could feel a slight connection between himself and the strange object of the Lord placed in the basement of this castle. Being able to use a magical power oneself. In addition, now Feng found a book floating in his mind. Feng could feel that this book was also a strange thing, and there was no information about this book in the memory of the deceased Feng. Therefore, the same strange thing as this book was brought by Feng's travel. Is this my golden finger? Feng thought to himself. This book is the size of an A4 paper with a blue cover, resembling an ancient book by a flower grower. Based on the information conveyed in this book, it is a peculiar object. And now that Feng is a strange object envoy, the ability information about the strange object will be automatically obtained by the strange object envoy. Now, Feng can feel that he can summon this book and use its ability. As Feng was preparing to summon this book, the door to the room where Feng was located was pushed open, and a tall woman dressed in linen clothes walked in. New book seeking support. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Territory and Relatives. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Territory and Relatives. The door to Feng's room was pushed open, and a young girl walked in. Feng looked at the girl, who was dressed in linen clothes. Although the clothes were old and had a few patches, they were very clean. This woman looks around 20 years old, with long black hair tied in a simple ponytail, a clean face, and a pair of big eyes like gemstones. After seeing that Feng had already woken up, the girl showed a hint of joy on her face and spoke with a hint of joy in her tone. Lord, you have woken up. The girl spoke and walked up quickly helping Feng sit up slowly and excitedly. Lord, you have finally woken up. Ah Quan, I've been unconscious for the past few days. Thank you for your hard work. Looking at the girl's appearance, Feng immediately remembered her identity in his mind. Quan, the close mate of Feng, chose a young girl from among the residents of the territory who was several years older than Feng as his personal maid to take care of him, as Feng's mother died early and his father had to take care of territorial affairs and battles. There is also a maid named Shui taking care of Feng's sister. How long have I been unconscious? How is the situation in my territory now, Ah Quan? Under the service of the maid, Feng slowly sat up and asked. Aquan, originally surnamed Li, changed her surname to D after becoming Feng's personal maid. Lord, everything is normal in the territory now. The previous wave of goblins was repelled by the leader of the D army, who eliminated dozens of goblins. Now, the leader of the D army is leading a patrol of the territory. The battle losses have been calculated by the territorial government officials, but they have not been announced yet because you, who took over as the Lord, have not woken up. Feng's maid Aquan introduced her to him. Has it already ended? Listening to Ah Quan's words, Feng breathed a sigh of relief in secret. Jun, the D family, is still Feng's distant cousin in terms of seniority. He is in his 30s and is currently the captain of the patrol team in the territory. He holds one of the only 5 rare items in the territory, the flint gun, and his own strength is at the level of black iron. Brother, you're awake. Upon hearing that there was nothing happening in the territory, Feng lay in bed and just breathed a sigh of relief when the door to his bedroom was pushed open again. A little girl over a meter tall ran into the bedroom and looked at Feng's face. The little girl cried and threw herself into Feng's arms. Brother, I thought you didn't want me anymore. My father has left, and my mother is also gone. You can't leave me alone anymore. Next to the little girl was a little fox with blue hair all over her body and a body length of 50 centimeters. This little fox is also a strange thing, left by Feng's mother. Before her death, Feng's mother handed over the contract of this strange thing to Du, who was still a 3-year-old child at the time. How could that be? Looking at the little girl who threw herself into her arms, Feng smiled and reached out to touch her head, speaking softly. I'm your brother, I want to protect you. Our territory will get better and better. Inheriting the personality of the deceased Di Feng towards his loved ones, Di Feng felt a surge of love in his heart for such a lovely little girl. Whimpering. Beside Diyu, Feng jumped up and gently rubbed Diyu with the fur on her face, making a whimpering sound of love. At this moment, Di Feng also took the opportunity to look at this strange creature, the wind fox. Although Di Feng now possesses 3 wonders, as he has not yet summoned them, this wind fox can be said to be the first wonder that Di Feng has seen with the naked eye in this world. The appearance of a wind fox is no different from that of an ordinary fox, but its green fur is as smooth as a mirror, and a gust of airflow can be felt around the body of the wind fox. This may be the power of the wind that the wind fox masters. The 3 wonders that Di Feng himself possesses, one of which is the wordless book that he brought with him during his travels. One is a unique piece of land left by my father after his death, a space crystal, and the last one is a unique piece that I inherited from birth, a broken sword that can cut wind blades. In addition, the territorial government officials also obtained a unique item, paper, with the ability to obtain a batch of white paper every day. After comforting Diyu, who was lying in her arms, the little girl gradually stopped crying. Di Quan on the side said to Diyu, "Miss, Lord's injuries are not yet healed. What Lord needs most now is recovery. Let's leave first and prepare some food for Lord." As a close maid who has followed Diyu and Di Feng since childhood, Di Quan is very close to them and speaks with a casual tone, unlike ordinary maids who are respectful. Lifting his head from Di Feng's arms, Diyu wiped away the tears on his face with his small hands. He looked at Di Feng with a pair of big, jewel-like eyes and reached out to pick up the wind fox lying on the bed, looking at him. "Brother, I'm going to prepare food with Sister Quan now. You've been unconscious these days and must be very hungry." "Okay." Di Feng smiled and said. "Then I'll wait here." After Di Quan left with Diyu, Di Feng leaned against the bedside and continued to recall the information in his mind. Now, this territory is named Qingheling, which is a clear small river flowing within the territory. The size of the territory is a square with a side length of 2 kilometers, and the sky is the sun and moon that the world transformed into when the territory was formed. Although the sun, the moon and the stars are illusions, they are no different from the general world. The rising and setting of the sun, spring, summer, autumn and winter are just like the general natural environment, which is very magical. The total population within the territory is about 2,000 people, living within an area of 1 square kilometer in the center of the territory. Since Di Feng's great-grandfather established the territory, although it has undergone decades of development, the population of the territory has not been able to increase due to the constant need to face wars caused by monsters appearing in the fog. To this day, it has only increased from more than 500 people when the territory was first established to about 2,000 people, and has only added a few strange things. Moreover, even now, the actual control range of the territory is only 1 square kilometer of the center area. In the areas on the edge of the territory, monsters have emerged from the fog and occupied them. These monsters include various wild beasts, monsters, and ferocious subhuman creatures. These monsters survive here, occasionally invading the territory and engaging in battles with the territory's military patrols. In the eastern part of the territory, there is a forest with some wild animals, which is a hunting ground. There used to be a logging farm, but a group of goblins suddenly appeared a few years ago and established a tribe there. Because the Lord of Goblin also seemed to possess a strange object, in the years since its appearance, the territory has fought dozens of battles against this group of goblins, but has never been able to annihilate this goblin tribe. In the north and south of the territory, there is a plain with some sparse trees. There are no monsters here, only small beasts. But recently, due to the proliferation of goblins, small goblins have separated from the larger tribes, emerged from the forest, and established small tribes with dozens of people. The most dangerous one is the Western Territory, which is a small lake with a very deep interior. In the lake water, there lives a bronze-level crocodile monster. This warcraft occasionally invades territory and engages in battles with patrol teams. Feng's father died in the battle with this warcraft. However, before Feng's father died, he seriously injured this crocodile monster, which temporarily retreated and could not attack the territory again in the short term. But because of this battle, the highest combat power in the territory was also lost, and the Lord's identity was transferred to Feng. If Goblin attacks at this time, although it is impossible to destroy the territory, it will definitely cause heavy damage to the territory. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Misty World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Misty World. In the Misty World, various wonders are classified into black iron, bronze, silver, and gold levels, with levels higher than gold, but they have never been encountered within the territory. According to the level classification of strange objects, the monster strength and human strength in the Misty World are also classified into ordinary, black iron, bronze, silver, and gold levels based on the level of strange objects. The ordinary people in this world are all at the ordinary level. Within the territory, there is a basic fighting spirit cultivation method brought by Feng's ancestor from the Great Territory. Through exercise, ordinary people can break through their limits and gain powerful strength. The basic Duki cultivation method is widely circulated in the territory, which essentially involves a large amount of exercise to generate Duki in the body and gain powerful strength. Although this method can be used by ordinary people, it is very difficult. In this world, there is a general suppression of non-exotic objects. If there is no contract for exotic objects to break their own limitations, even ordinary people who practice will find it difficult to improve their strength. It's usually good if 1 out of 10,000 ordinary people can break through the black iron level. In the past few decades at Qinghe, only 3 people in history have broken through to the black iron level without becoming a special envoy. There is still 1 person alive in the territory who has broken through to the black iron level through his own efforts. This person is now the captain of the territory city guard. In addition, the captain of the patrol team, Jun, is a black iron level powerhouse. Of course, Feng is also black iron level now, and there is also Feng's sister, the biological creature Wind Fox controlled by Du, who also has black iron level strength. However, unlike ordinary people, this difficulty will instantly decrease after becoming a strange creature. If the probability of an ordinary person breaking through is compared to 1, then the breakthrough made by a strange object is 1,000. Moreover, the higher the level of a strange object, the higher the probability that it will break through its cultivation, and the higher the limit of future growth. In addition, to increase the chance of breakthrough, another way is to become a derivative of strange things. According to legend, a strange object that reaches the level of silver will generate a unique energy, like a magnetic field, covering a certain range around it. Living in this energy field year-round, humans or animals have a certain chance of obtaining some derivative abilities from strange things, but this is just a legend, coming from a large territory, and Feng has not seen it before. Although this breakthrough does not make me taller, it is also a special way for ordinary people to become stronger. Over the years, only the unique item in Qinghe territory is a silver level item, and it is different from ordinary silver items and cannot produce derivatives. Nowadays, the strength within the territory is still very weak, even those goblins, due to their reproductive speed blocks, have broken through to the black iron level in recent years with a large base, making them powerful opponents of the territory. Summoning. Sitting on the bed, Feng extended his right hand and a white light shone in his hand. The light dissipated, and a blue bound book appeared in Feng's hand. This book is a unique item that Feng travels through, and it looks no different from ordinary books on the outside. Opening it up, the book is filled with blank pages, each of which looks no different from regular A4 paper. However, Feng could feel the power of this wordless book. Identification. By silently reciting and using the ability of a wordless book, a series of data appeared on the first page of the book. The book without words gave Feng the first ability to identify any object or organism. However, if there is a significant difference in strength compared to the user, it cannot be identified. A book without words. Level. Gold type. Item effect 1. Identification. Able to identify any item and search for unknown objects within the user's perception range. Effect 2. Odd item contract. Able to contract and use unowned items. Effect 3. Gift collection. Breaking the limitations of unique items and being able to donate contracted unique items to others for use. It is also possible to retrieve the unique items gifted to others. Effect 4. Odd item increase. Once a day, can increase one effect of the contracted item by 10 times, lasting for 1 hour. Feng first conducted an appraisal of the wordless book among his opponents, and was surprised to see that the book's appraisal data appeared on the first page, with detailed information on the paper. So detailed, and the book without words is actually a golden level wonder. Looking at the effect of the book without words, each one is an auxiliary ability, but each one is incredibly powerful. In this Misty world, it can be said that strange objects represent the highest power, and now Feng can discover the advanced power of strange objects, which will rapidly increase the power within the territory. Moreover, this is not just that. It is possible to contract strange things and hand them over to everyone, allowing Feng to control his subordinates and ensure that the ultimate power of the territory is in his own hands. In addition, the last effect is a tenfold increase in one's ability. Although it only takes 1 hour, the benefits it brings are enormous. At least, Feng doesn't need to worry about not being able to defeat enemies. With this wonder, our Qinghe territory will definitely become a powerful territory in the future. My wonder, along with the recently contracted territory wonder and that sword. This wordless book is a unique item brought by Feng. In addition to it, there are also unique territorial items and a unique item given to him by his father. And that sword was right beside him, so Feng naturally wanted to see the abilities of these strange things clearly. That territorial wonder is usually found in the basement of the only rock house in the center room of the castle. There is a small team of soldiers guarding, and these soldiers are the most loyal group of personnel cultivated by the territory. No one is allowed to enter without the Lord's command. As for the other one, it's a sword, a 1-meter-long broken sword. The broken sword now stands upright at the head of Feng's bed. This is a long sword with a blue mysterious pattern. The sword body is made of blue metal, with veins carved like blood vessels on top of it. However, the sword body is only half the length at this time, and obvious signs of breakage can be seen at the gap. According to my memory in my mind, this sword is a black iron level artifact that can unleash a wind blade when attacking. Since this broken sword was on the side, Feng no longer hesitated and identified it directly through the wordless book. Identification. At the next moment, the wordless book in Feng's hand opened the second page, where not only was there a pattern of this peculiar object on the top, but also detailed data on one side. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Territory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Territory Wind Sword Level. Black Iron Type. Weapon Effect 1. Wind Slash. Consumes the user's energy and can emit a slash with wind elements. Looking at this strange object, Feng's excitement for the golden level wonder of the wordless book just now calmed down, but he was still a bit happy. He was pleased that the auxiliary ability of his wordless book was really powerful. Then try your ability to search for strange things. After using the appraisal, Feng had another ability to look at the book without words. Search. In the next moment, Feng felt the energy inside his body being depleted, and he was like a humanoid radar, covering a radius of 100 meters. All the items were swept by the wind, but there were no strange objects. But just this makes Feng happy, which has a huge impact on the future search for strange things. With strange things, it represents an improvement in the strength of the territory, and the cost of this search is not significant. After identifying and searching for strange objects, can I identify the data myself and test the contractual ability of the No Words book? Before the contract, Feng once again silently recited in his heart. Identification. On the wordless book in Feng's hand, a new page opened and a data similar to game attributes appeared on it, recording various situations of Feng. Feng. Black Iron Grade Strength. 11, 5 for normal adults, physical fitness. 7 Spirit. 10 Duki. 170/170 Bloodline. Strange Object Envoy. Humans who have mastered strange objects have already opened their own bloodline restrictions, making it easier to enhance their strength. Skills. Basic Swordsmanship, Basic Duki Cultivation Method, Weapon. Wind Sword Equipment. Wordless Book, Small Space Crystal. Looking at his own data, Feng realized another benefit of the Wordless Book. That is to identify one's own attributes. The attribute identification of the Wordless Book was originally a series of detailed data, even including heart rate and muscle strength. But with such detailed data, Feng himself felt dizzy. The complex data was not intuitive and could not be quickly analyzed to determine his strength. Therefore, Feng began to adjust the attribute conversion of the Wordless Book, which was transformed into a game-like attribute panel that Feng could understand. Through identification, one can see their own cultivation situation and approximate strength, and make adjustments. A normal person has a 5-point attribute, while I have an attribute above 10 points, which means that to break through the black iron level, one attribute needs to break through 10 points. Because this body has been exposed to strange objects since childhood, and has been practicing since childhood, successfully advancing to the black iron level 2 years ago. Now, within the territory, except for his sister's unique creature, the territorial government officials are at the level of black iron, which means that the captains of the city guard and the territorial hunting team are at the level of black iron. My own black iron level strength is also noteworthy within the territory. For his current strength, Feng is quite satisfied, not only inheriting a territory, but also possessing extraordinary power. Although the territory is only a village, and I have also suffered some injuries. But as a black iron level exotic envoy, although the injuries on his body are severe, as an exotic envoy, he will also recover quickly. As for the small space crystal in one's own attributes, it is the unique item of Qinghe Ling's territory. As it is not currently by Feng's side and has not been identified by the unwritten book, it is currently impossible to see the detailed information of the unique item of the territory. Having understood his own data, Feng looked at the wind sword beside him and whispered. Contract. Under the control of Feng, a beam of light flew out of the wordless book, and this white beam of light disappeared into the blazing wind-broken sword. In the next moment, Feng felt that he was more adept at mastering the sword of the wind, and his strength seemed to have increased slightly. Sword comes. Sitting on the bed, Feng extended his hand and the wind sword body, which was placed next to him, shook slightly. Then, the sword body suspended from the ground and turned into a stream of light, which was held by Feng in his hand. I have contracted this wind sword through the Book of Words, and I can summon it from afar. This is also good news, and the unique items owned by Feng can also be included in the Book of Words without carrying them with me. In addition, through perception, Feng felt that he could make others become strange creatures of the wind-broken sword. And I also have control over this wind sword. Feeling the power of the wordless book, Feng secretly said. This is really good. I just woke up, but my injuries haven't recovered yet. Feng doesn't have much to do now, so he gently leaned against the bedside and closed his eyes to rest. As a strange creature envoy, Feng's recovery ability far exceeds that of ordinary people. After waking up, with food and nutritional supplements, Feng's body quickly recovered and he could barely get out of bed and walk the next day. Although Feng cannot fight or engage in intense activities now, there is still no problem dealing with some backlog of territorial affairs. The entire castle, rather than being a castle, is a small courtyard composed of more than 10 wooden houses. Due to the foggy environment and scarcity of territorial resources, without bricks and stones, the entire wooden house building in the territory is considered the best building. The castle is located at the highest point of the mound, and you can see the entire village. Half of the buildings in the entire village are thatched cottages. Moreover, besides the thatched cottage, there is also more than half of the thatched roof on top of the cellar. The people in the territory were also dressed in tattered clothes. Outside the chaotic thatched cottage, there is a 3-meter-high wall made of mounds of soil and wood, protecting the entire village. The city guard is stationed on the wall, surrounding the safety of the core area of the territory. This is really poverty. Before crossing over, impoverished households had to live better than here. As a lord, if you want to live a good life, then the residents of the territory naturally need to live well as well. Feng does not believe that all residents of the territory can live a modern life in such an environment as a lord. And the space in the fog, because those plots of land in the fog may have come from any era, so although the territory is poor, it is not just the ancient times that are not covered in clothes. Over the years since the establishment of the territory, successive lords have occasionally entered the mist to search for supplies, resulting in the presence of many things from various eras and worlds within the territory. Leaving the castle with Feng walked on the dirt streets within his territory. Walking on the streets of the village, the dirt-compacted road surface surrounded by half-ground pits and buildings with thatched roofs, such buildings are the most wood-efficient. Previously, there was a forest and there was a shortage of wood in the territory. Now that the goblins have occupied the forest, the food and wood in the territory are even more scarce, so saving a little is enough. The residents of the territory, due to their year-round food supply being barely guaranteed without hunger, are mostly pale and emaciated, with most of their clothes being linen. There are also some tattered silk-sewn clothes, and even some modern nylon and polyester materials can be seen, but they have become worn and tattered all year round. The clothes on the bodies of residents in each territory are more or less patched. There are still a large number of enemies outside this dilapidated territory, and there is really tremendous pressure to develop it. After wandering around the city, Feng sighed in his heart. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Current situation of territory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Current situation of territory. As a lord, Feng's clothes were a long robe woven from linen, which was washed clean by the maid Quan. However, due to the frequent washing, the linen had turned a bit white. As a lord, simple linen is at least sufficient for use, but I have also seen 1 or 2 patches. Walking on the streets of the territory, following Quan, Feng observed the details of the territory. There is no iron ore in the entire territory, and all the metal in the territory comes from materials collected during the exploration of fog. And most of these metals are used to make weapons and armor, with only a small portion used to make some metal farming tools. Due to the lack of metal materials, there is only 1 blacksmith shop, 2 old blacksmiths and 3 apprentices in the territory. The tools commonly used by households are stone tools that are ground by themselves. I casually visited a residential house, which was an area of about 10 square meters, surrounded by walls of soil mixed with straw. A straw bed, a table made of several stones, and a small pottery jar next to it, storing some wheat. Your Highness. Watching Feng visit his own home, the wife of the resident looked at him awkwardly. It's daytime now, and most of the young and middle-aged people in the village are farming outside or patrolling around. Now in the village are children and elderly women. The household visited by Feng is a married couple with an elderly person and 3 children. The whole family has 4 burrows, 1 for the couple, 1 for the children, 1 for the elderly, and 1 for the warehouse and kitchen. In the courtyard enclosed by the fence, there is also a fruit tree and a small vegetable field. How long can your family eat the food now? Watching the cramped woman standing on the side, as well as the child with mud on their face curiously looking at themselves behind their mother, Feng asked. Lord, the current food, combined with the vegetables in the yard, can barely hold up until harvest. My family also has a fruit tree that can hold up until the following spring. Make it through. Listening to the woman's words, Feng understood her meaning. That is to say, one can only avoid hunger and cannot guarantee full food. Thinking in his heart, after understanding the specific situation of the residents in the territory, Feng left this family. The next family, according to Feng, may not even be as good as the previous one. Looking at more than 10 families in a row, they barely managed to support themselves with food, and there was also a shortage of clothing. With the rampant goblin in the past 2 years, the territory was extremely difficult. Climbing onto the city wall, upon hearing the appearance of Feng, the captain of the city guard immediately rushed over. At this time, the territorial government officials handling the affairs also arrived. The patrol captain, named Su Chang, is a rare genius in the territory who has broken through to the level of black iron. However, because he is not a special envoy, his strength has basically reached this level. Ordinary people are talented enough to break through to the black iron level on their own, and their own limitations have been opened up, but it's just a matter of increasing the chance of breaking through from 1 to 10, and there is still a huge gap between them and the strange creature envoy. Looking at the middle-aged man in front of him, dressed in armor and holding a metal spear, Feng first examined his attributes using the appraisal of the Book of Words. Su Chang. Black Iron Grade Power. 12 Physical Fitness. 8 Spirit. 6 Duki. 140 to 140 Skills. Basic Duki Cultivation Method. Intermediate Marksmanship. Su Chang's strength is basically equivalent to Feng's, but because Su Chang is not a special envoy, his strength is weaker than Feng's. Moreover, Su Chang's armor, which is said to be armor, is actually an inner layer of animal skin lining, with 2 hammered iron plates hanging on the outside. Even such armor is considered rare in the territory. Most of those soldiers had no armor on their bodies, only a layer of cloth, and carried various weapons. Even Richie saw stone weapons. This is really a poor territory, Feng sighed inwardly. He also decided to make the territory stronger, so that his life would become better. There are 2 armed forces in the entire territory, a 50-person city wall patrol team responsible for the safety of the village, and the captain is Su Chang standing in front of Feng. The other team is a hunting team led by Feng's second uncle, Jun, who is a special envoy. The hunting team is responsible for fighting against goblin and safeguarding the safety of the village's farmland, with a personnel of 100. When not in battle, this hunting team also needs to cultivate farmland. I'm just getting tired of staying in the room, come out and take a walk, Feng said with a smile as he looked at Su Chang. There's nothing going on here, just continue with your mission and don't worry about me. Throughout history, lords have died in battle for their territories. After decades of rule, the prestige of the family in the territory is unbreakable. Even though Feng has just inherited the territory and is not very old, he has absolute control over the territory and speaks with integrity. Yes, Lord. Retreat from Feng, and Su Chang continues his mission. On the side, Zhang Xiu, the only political official in the territory and also one of the special envoys of the territory. Zhang Xiu himself looked like a literati, dressed in a linen short shirt with several pieces of paper with numbers written in it. The wonder that Zhang Xiu himself possesses is a blank sheet of paper, just like the A4 paper in modern society. The ability of this blank sheet of paper is to create 10 A4 papers out of thin air every day. This type of paper is also considered an important production for the territory, with some important data and information recorded, sewn into books using animal skin thread, and stored in the castle. Moreover, as a peculiar creature, Zhang Xiu's own limitations were broken. Although she did not have much combat power, she was also a black iron level powerhouse. Zhang Xiu. Black iron grade strength. 10 physical fitness. 5 spirit. 8 Dookie. 130/130 skill. Basic fighting chi cultivation method equipment. White paper. A 4-paper wonder, capable of producing 10 A4 papers per day. Lord, Zhang Xiu bowed to Di Feng. Is there anything happening in the territory now? Di Feng asked. Currently, due to the frequent presence of goblins in the territory, various supplies are becoming scarce, and the residents of the territory are facing a shortage of food and other supplies. And the appearance of goblin small tribes in the north-south direction of our territory makes it impossible for our hunting team to hunt, and we must eliminate them as soon as possible. I understand. The hunting team will come back tonight. Let's discuss what to do with the territory next. Having previously learned about the intelligence of the territory, coupled with now seeing the situation in the territory, Di Feng immediately felt that these rampant goblins needed to be eliminated immediately. Although these goblins have become rampant and may not be eradicated in the short term, at the very least they need to be restricted. Moreover, there is a severe shortage of resources in the territory, so we must find an opportunity to explore the fog and search for some supplies on those plots. While giving orders, Di Feng secretly thought to himself. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Plan of Territory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Plan of Territory. At night, there is a conference room in the castle. After wandering within the territory for a while, Di Feng returned to the castle, thinking of a solution. The hunting team, which had been protecting the farmers outside for a day, returned to their territory. 100-member hunting team, of which 50 were divided into 2 groups stationed at the border of the farmland to prevent the invasion of goblins from 3 sides. After all, nowadays the food in the territory mostly comes from farmland outside the village. If it were destroyed by goblin, the entire territory would probably be destroyed. Captain D, Captain Su, and Mr. Zhang Xiu. Important personnel within the territory sat together, and Di Feng was the first to speak. Recently, goblin has been rampant. It used to occupy the forests on the east side of our territory, causing a shortage of wood, but now it is spreading towards the plains on both sides, blocking our way into the fog. If goblin is allowed to thrive, it will definitely pose a huge threat to us, but now, there has just been a battle within the territory, with numerous casualties among soldiers, and my father was killed in action, and I have also been seriously injured, making it impossible to fight in the short term. At the moment, it's not a good time to clean up goblin, so I think we need to explore the misty space and search for some supplies. However, Lord, there is too much uncertainty in the misty world, whether it is too dangerous, said Zhang Xiu beside Di Feng. But now, the only way to break the game is to engage in a tug-of-war with goblin, and there are countless goblins in the eastern forest that goblin occupies. We are temporarily unable to attack, otherwise there will be too many casualties. We must have new supplies to supplement and let us slow down for this period of time. Now we only have the path of the misty world, Di Feng explained. On the side, Di Feng's second uncle, Di Jun, looked at him seriously and asked. If exploring the misty world, how many troops does the Lord need to bring? Due to the uncertainty of the foggy world, I have decided not to delve into it and stay for 1 or 2 days. Before that, Captain Su will take over the territory's garrison tasks in the north and west. The hunting team divided 70 people to clean up the southern region, paving a way for me. At the same time, they recruited the residents of the territory and prepared to receive supplies. At that time, I will take 30 people into the misty world, Di Feng explained to everyone present. If there is anything wrong, I will withdraw immediately. I know there can be no further loss in the territory. Okay. The method proposed by Di Feng now is indeed the most suitable. After pondering, Su Chang, Di Jun, and Zhang Xiu all knew that the only way to break the situation now was through this path. In the misty world, if some metal can be collected, the territory will have many new weapons, and the victory rate in battles with goblin will be higher. So, starting tomorrow, I'm in a hurry to clear the southern area and open up a road, which will take about a day. Feng nodded and looked at Zhang Xiu beside him, inquiring. Government officials, how much grain is still stored in our castle? Lord, Zhang Xiu said immediately when his name was called, as the administrative officer of the territory, I have a clear understanding of all the affairs of the territory. There are also 20 tons of various grains in the warehouse, including some durable vegetables, as well as some wheat and dried fruits, as well as dried meat. Is that so? Listening to the grain reserves, Feng pondered for a moment. Take out 600 kilograms of grain and recruit 200 people to assist the troops in developing southern roads, calculated at 2 kilograms per person per day. Because the foggy world comes from various worlds, the measurement and control implemented in the territory is similar to modern times. For this exploration, we must be swift, taking advantage of the lack of reaction from the goblin tribe in the eastern forest, to quickly collect a batch of supplies from the Misty world. Recruiting manpower, we are responsible for food, which can also enhance the enthusiasm of the residents in the territory, sure. Zhang Xiu calculated and nodded in agreement. So that's it. Starting tomorrow, I'll set off for the Misty world that night, striving to come back one day earlier. Yes. After confirming the plan, Zhang Xiu, Su Chang, and Di Jun left the castle. The entire castle, apart from the rock houses in the center, is a complex of 10 wooden houses. Among them, 2 wooden houses are warehouses, and the 2 wooden houses are the residences of Feng and Du. The remaining areas are offices, kitchens, servant lounges, and miscellaneous rooms, and due to the scarcity of territorial resources, only a few livestock are also raised on the edge of the castle. This includes 20 sheep, 5 cows, 10 pigs, and over 100 chickens and ducks. To a certain extent, there is still a smell of livestock manure in the air throughout the castle. But now the territory is like this, with a shortage of resources, and the livestock in the territory are also a necessity, especially after goblins occupy the surrounding areas and cannot hunt. These livestock are precious meat resources in the territory, which are generally reluctant to eat by the Feng. Only during major events will some livestock be killed for meat, usually for breeding purposes. The next morning, Di Jun and Su Chang handed over their tasks and began to expand towards the southern region with the gathered manpower. 70 people divided into 3 paths and walked towards the edge of the fog in the south. In the village, Zhang Xiu gathered manpower, carried some tools, and the few ox carts he had, and began to follow the hunting team to carve out a path. The structure of the entire territory consists of castles and villages in the central area, surrounded by a circle of city walls. Outside the city wall, there is farmland surrounding the village, roughly a square area. At the edge of the farmland, there are wooden watchtowers established by hunting teams responsible for patrol and surveillance tasks. Outside the farmland area, there are 4 areas: east, west, north, south. These areas are all unoccupied territories and wilderness, now inhabited by warcraft and goblin. In the southern part of the territory, the border of farmland reaches the edge of fog, with a distance of 700 meters, which may not seem far, but the barren grass in these areas is 1 person tall, and as soon as a person enters, it disappears. The goblins and beasts are hidden within it and difficult to detect, and no one knows how many monsters and beasts are hidden in this patch of grass. Therefore, developing this area requires a large number of manpower, and it is difficult to guard against monster attackers lurking in the grass. Given the current situation in the territory, it can be said that there is no medicine at all. If there is a serious injury, it is easy to die. After all, the territory is barren, with only 1 doctor and 2 apprentices, and only a few skills have been passed down, and various medicinal herbs are also lacking. Lord, recruit workers to explore the southern wilderness. Although it is dangerous, they manage food. Currently, there are not many jobs in the farmland, and most people are idle at home. Working outside in this way, with the Lord in charge of food, is a rare opportunity for the residents of the territory. Not only can they have enough to eat, but it also saves a few days of food for their family. Within a short time of Zhang Xiu's announcement, a team of 200 people was recruited. 200 people followed the hunting team ahead and began mowing and repairing the road. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Southern Territory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Southern Territory. Qinghe leads the southern part, on the edge of farmland. With the recruitment of manpower in the territory and soldiers clearing the wild beasts in the grass ahead, a large area of empty land has been cleared from the originally barren grass. Several ox carts are pulling the cut grass back to the village. These green grasses can be used as livestock feed, thatched roofs, or used by the poor to make beds and weave grass ropes, making them a valuable resource for the residents of the territory. In this resource-scarce territory, thatch is also an important resource. On the open ground, there is a batch of grain transported from behind, and the chefs from the castle have started setting up stoves to prepare meals. Around, there are 10 soldiers patrolling, and Feng, as the Lord, is also sitting here. Although unable to participate in intense battles, as a special envoy, coupled with the ability to cut wind blades with a strong sword, Feng himself is a powerful warrior. Moreover, Feng can also use the ability of territory wonders and small space stones. At this time, the unique items of the territory were also identified by the Book of Words, and the data is on the Book of Words. Moreover, as a silver-level artifact, the territory artifact itself can enable Feng, as the Lord, to use magical abilities. Small space stone level. Silver level. Type. Item effect 1. Portable space. Comes with a 1 meter cube of portable space. Effect 2. Space blade. Consume energy to summon a space blade. Effect 3. It can open up a space with a radius of 1 kilometer, but after opening up the space, strange objects cannot move freely, otherwise the space will break and need to be reactivated. The first portable space may not have a significant impact on today's Feng, but it will have a huge impact on the subsequent exploration of fog. This allows Feng to carry more supplies back from the land in the Misty world. And the second effect is to eliminate the wind blade of the wind sword and also the slashing of the space blade. Moreover, the first effect, Feng tested the amplification effect of the wordless book and found that the portable space was expanded tenfold at once. This tenfold increase is not a tenfold increase in volume, but a tenfold increase in the side length of the cube. That is to say, Feng has 1 hour to expand the volume of his personal space by 1,000 cubic meters. With such a large space, even the simplest wood or stone can hold a large amount of goods. With this ability, Feng has confidence in the upcoming fog exploration and can bring more supplies back to his territory. Approaching noon, a hunting team at the forefront once again discovered a small goblin tribe, with only 20 goblins in the entire goblin tribe. These goblins only had an animal skin tent set up, but most of them were not inside. The goblins hunted a wild boar, and a dozen or so goblins were sitting around and eating a wild boar they had hunted. Captain, we have discovered the goblin tribe ahead, with a population of 20 people. What are you waiting for? The hunting team captain immediately said. Notify our teams on both sides, let's surround here together and kill this group of monsters. Yes. A soldier quickly notified the nearby team, while the rest of them were lurking in the grass, 1 person tall, hiding in the bushes. Coupled with the bloody smell of the wild boar corpse, these soldiers were not detected. After all, the wilderness of the entire territory was not large, and soon 2 small teams arrived here. After discussing with the 3 team leaders, one approached from the front, one approached from the back, and the other surrounded from one side. Archer ready. Due to the scarcity of arrows and the fact that no one in the territory can make high-intensity bows and arrows, the 3 teams only have 3 archers. Only soldiers with a natural talent for archery will be selected, so every archer in a hunting team is a skilled marksman who hits every shot. Swish, swish. In an instant, the 3 archers released the 10 strings in their hands, and the 3 arrows flew out of the grass and into Goblin's chest. Kill. Following closely, soldiers from 3 small teams rushed forward in all directions. In the front, the sword and shield soldiers were at the forefront, while in the rear, each spearman accelerated their charge. As the goblins were eating the bloody raw meat in their hands, before they could react, sharp spears plunged into Goblin's chest. Goblin, I don't know where he comes from, he has a strong reproductive ability. According to Qinghe Ling's research over the years, Goblin's food can be said to be as long as it can be eaten. General grains, meat, carrion, grass roots, tree bark, and so on can all be used as food, and goblins can generally reproduce 1 generation per family within 6 months. A single production can take 3 to 5, and although the newborn goblin is weak, it only takes a week to barely walk. Within a month, one can move freely, and after a year, one can become an adult and continue to reproduce like this. Even though Qinghe Ling continues to eliminate a large number of goblins, the number of goblins is still countless. In the eastern forested area, it can be said that it is under the rule of Goblin, and the troops led by Qinghe are unable to withstand the waves. 3 small teams, totaling 30 people, launched a surprise attack. Taking advantage of Goblin's unpreparedness, they quickly attacked and solved 15 goblins. The remaining 5 goblins were dragged by the sword and shield soldiers, and the soldiers around drew out their hands to fight more and less, eliminating the remaining 5 goblins. A small goblin tribe of 20 people was annihilated like this, and after that, the bodies of these goblins will be burned and buried in farmland, and the crops will become even more prosperous the next year. Solved this goblin tribe, and the body of the wild boar that goblin hunted was partially cut off as food, while the part that goblin ate was directly burned. The stone axes, spears, and unknown thigh bones in Goblin's hand were collected, and various supplies from Qinghe Ling were scarce, all of which were also useful. Stone axes and spears can be used as weapons for militia, bones can be used as fertilizer, and bone tools such as bone needles can also be made. All supplies were sent to the rear, and 3 teams separated to continue clearing the wasteland. On the other side, a gunshot shot through the head of a huge wild boar that was 1.5 meters tall. Subsequently, a small team quickly appeared around and took the wild boar away. Not far away, the captain of the hunting team, Di Jun, put away his flint gun and said with a smile on his face, "This wild boar is really big, it will be our dinner tonight." The soldiers following the D army also wore smiles on their faces. Although there was no shortage of food in the army, such meat was also limited in supply. Such a huge wild boar is enough to make everyone eat. With the rapid advancement of the territory, after eliminating over 100 goblins and 2 powerful beasts, a 30-meter wide road was opened up. This road leads directly from the southern edge of farmland to the foggy border. 3 small teams were stationed along the way, with 20 people remaining in the border area. The remaining 30 people from the 70-person team gathered at the border. The foggy border can be said to be a foggy environment where you can't see your fingers, and the surrounding area of the territory is blocked by such a foggy wall. This book has gone through the signing process again, readers who want to invest should hurry up. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Plot in Mist. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Plot in Mist. It's not dark yet, I'll lead the team to move quickly, Feng said to the nearby Di Jun, standing on the edge of the fog, making final preparations. After I leave, someone needs to be stationed here. Captain D, you will be responsible for this road these days and cannot let Goblin occupy it. Don't worry, Di Jun nodded. With me here, I won't let go of any of those goblins, but now the territory is up to you, so be careful. As Di Feng's distant cousin, he can also be considered a relative of Di Feng, and Di Jun is very concerned about him. I understand this, Di Feng said with a smile. I will be careful. If there is anything wrong, I will immediately return and release the space fixation. After bidding farewell to Jun, Feng, along with 30 soldiers and dry rations, entered the mist. Before stepping into the mist, Feng had already mobilized the energy of the strange objects in the territory and locked in an area ahead. According to the feedback from the territory's strange objects, this fixation can only last for 3 days. Once 3 days arrive, if Feng does not return, he will be lost in the misty world. Stepping into the fog that was originally invisible before my eyes dissipated a bit, and I could see a nearby area within 10 meters. In front of Feng, 5 sword and shield soldiers held shields and slowly advanced. On either side of Feng, there were 5 sword and shield soldiers, while behind the team were 10 spearmen and 5 archers. The group slowly advanced in the mist, as Feng determined the direction of the territory, so they moved in the opposite direction of the territory. After walking for half an hour, the fog suddenly dissipated ahead and some weeds appeared on the previously barren land along the way. The situation on the ground was detected by Feng, and he secretly thought to himself. We are about to reach the land in the misty world, and I hope to obtain good supplies this time. After a moment, the fog in front of Feng and his group began to dissipate, and at their feet, it was no longer a rough and rocky land, but a smooth road paved with asphalt. Not only that, there were also some unmanned vehicles on both sides of the asphalt road. Feng approached and looked inside, only to find that there was even a car key inside the car. It seems that this time, perhaps we have arrived at a modern society plot, Feng guessed in his heart. Through the mist, the scenery before Feng and his group gradually opened up. In front of them was no longer mist, but a world filled with tall buildings. Looking at the scenery in front of him, Feng was suddenly surprised. My guess is correct, such a plot of land will definitely have a large amount of resources. Feng knew that the chaotic blocks within the misty world could be encountered in any environment. But when he saw the scenery before him now, Feng was still surprised for a moment. In front of Feng and others, accompanied by the barren grass on the ground that submerged the ankles, it was an asphalt road. On both sides of the world, about a few kilometers away, fog can be seen surrounding these plots like city walls. Not far ahead of the road are towering buildings with 10 or 20 floors, but perhaps as time passes, these skyscrapers are still somewhat beautiful. Tall buildings don't seem to have been left unattended for too long in a foggy world. For this complex of buildings, it seems that they haven't been here for long, and some shops on the streets along the way have opened their doors. Feng walked over carefully, looking at the not too thick dust on the table, which proved that the city had not been silent for a long time. On both sides of the street, there are vehicles parked, and although some of them collide with each other and get stuck on the road, the overall urban area still maintains a certain level of order. Surprisingly, it is an abandoned modern city. Observing the environment carefully, Feng thought to himself. And this kind of environment seems to be a sudden disappearance of humans living here, otherwise it wouldn't prove why everything in the building is neatly arranged, but the vehicles on the street are out of control and colliding. By Feng's side, most of the soldiers who followed him were also the first to see such an environment. Looking at the scenery before them, these soldiers knew for the first time that there were such tall buildings and such peculiar cities in the world. In this room, there are soft chairs that have never been seen before, as well as various rare mirrors and large boxes with glass that I don't know what they are. Moreover, the vehicles on the streets, in the eyes of the soldiers, are huge metal blocks. If they could be transported to the territory, how many weapons and equipment could be produced? Lord, what should we do next? A soldier following Feng looked around at various modern supplies, visible only to the naked eye, including luxurious furniture, transparent glass windows, and curtains with gorgeous patterns. And in the eyes of soldiers, cars are also made of steel and are good materials for making weapons. Such abundant supplies appeared in front of everyone, and a group of soldiers swallowed their saliva and whispered to Feng's side to inquire. Now that we have just arrived here, although these things are scarce for our territory, we have so few manpower now that even if we move them all, we won't be able to take much with us. Regarding the soldiers' inquiries, Feng did not fail to see the shining gaze in their eyes. After thinking for a moment, Feng said to the soldiers around him. Let's first explore the environment. The first goal is to find food, followed by other supplies. Let's go to other places to see where it is and if there are any monsters. After ensuring safety, find a suitable place to rest and discuss the handling of materials early tomorrow morning. After all, it's almost night, and the foggy world is even more dangerous at night. Yes, Lord. All the soldiers had no objections to Feng's words and put aside their greed. All the soldiers regained their vigilance, clenched their weapons, and looked around vigilantly. Leaving a storefront facing the street, Feng and his group walked between tall buildings. As he walked, before nightfall, Feng looked around, looking at this modern urban plot where there were abundant supplies. There are various signs hanging between the tall buildings, all of which are written in Chinese. And Feng's Qinghe territory is also used in Chinese. Although ordinary people only need to make a living every day, coupled with the lack of books and teachers, there are not many people in the entire territory who learn writing, but soldiers can still master some, especially those team leaders who at least know some writing. The team leaders are also scrutinizing these signs. Lee's beef noodles. Wang Ji sheep offal. Dry cleaners, tobacco and alcohol supermarkets, pharmacies. Chain hotels. Bank. A betting store. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Discovering a mall. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Discovering a mall. Looking at the shops on the signs between the tall buildings, for Feng, these were all temptations. In these shops, no matter what materials are, they are all in short supply by Qinghe Ling. Especially in that pharmacy, Feng could clearly see that it was still filled with various medicines and had not been lost. A pharmacy in a pharmaceutical supermarket, with rows of various medicines, is an extremely important resource for Feng's territory. However, at this moment, we need to find a place to rest, and the supplies will not be lost overnight. Feng secretly noted this place and will move some supplies before returning. Besides medicine, there are also various books from modern society, all of which are in Chinese. You can take them back to study and read them. A book from modern society is definitely a precious inheritance for the Qinghe tribe, who is no longer much different from the primitive society. In addition, there are various types of furniture, pots and pans, and seasonings in the kitchen that cannot be manufactured by the territory at present. Of course, if various crops and plant seeds can be found, it is also of great significance for the territory. The vehicles parked on the roadside are mostly made of metal. As long as one is returned, it will increase the amount of metal and weapons that can be produced for the territory, not to mention that there are other modern materials in this abandoned city. It can be said that in this modern city, there are treasures everywhere, and Feng and his team simply enter the Baoshan without knowing what to take. 30 people, even though the soldiers are stronger than the average person due to year-round exercise, the full load is only a few thousand pounds of materials, which is too little for the entire urban plot. We need to find a truck here to transport more supplies, Feng thought to himself, but at this moment, it was not a careless moment. And my personal space must also be filled up. How could Feng have missed so many supplies in such a modern urban area with a space of 1,000 cubic meters? Not just your personal space, take as many items as possible with you. Everyone be careful. Feng regained his composure and spoke to the soldiers around him. I don't know what monsters are in this city, everyone be careful, let's explore slowly. Yes, Lord. In the battle form, Feng also took out his sword and watched cautiously as he walked on the asphalt road, moving forward bit by bit. Walk along the asphalt road for hundreds of meters and come to an intersection. After looking over a tall building, on another street, Feng saw a truck parked on the roadside. This truck is a vehicle transporting goods to a large supermarket and is parked at the entrance of the supermarket. You can smell the rotten and foul-smelling fruit on the car from a distance. But at this moment, Feng's focus is not on the smell of decay. But it's fruit decay, which means these fruits haven't been left for a long time, indicating that the sudden disappearance of humans in this urban area is not far away. In this way, at least most of the supplies in supermarkets can be preserved. Moreover, the location of this supermarket is a 5-story large shopping mall, which looks well preserved on the front. The various materials inside can be said to be absolutely abundant, and it cannot be transported by Feng and his team alone. I'm already developed now. Don't even think too much, a huge supermarket with complete goods and a huge shopping mall would have so many supplies that even Feng couldn't imagine. For a while, Feng thought of bringing back so many supplies that the territory could definitely live a prosperous life for a period of time. At the same time, I may not need to eat foods without salt and seasonings anymore. Various modern daily necessities can also make my life better. Due to a lack of resources in the territory, I have been eating only boiled food and grilled meat these days, without any salt or other food. After a burst of excitement in his heart, Feng quickly calmed down and said to the soldier who didn't know what he would see next. "Everyone, let's go to that building." Yes. The group accelerated their pace and arrived at the entrance of the mall. While the soldiers were still amazed by the huge building, Feng and his team arrived at the truck at the entrance of the supermarket. This truck is the type of long-distance transportation of vegetables and fruits, with a height of just over 3 meters at the front, and it needs to be climbed up to get to the driver's cab. In 3 or 2 steps, Feng climbed onto the truck and saw a car key with a plush toy pendant hanging in the lock hole. Looking at the key inserted in the lock hole, Feng secretly rejoiced and sighed. What do you really want? With this car key, how much material can this car transport? Looking at the car key, Feng sat in the driver's cab and started the vehicle on the spot. Looking at the dashboard of the truck that lit up, there was still more than half of the fuel in the tank. Feng knew that he had made a profit this time. Although Feng had never driven such a large truck before crossing, he still had a driver's license, and now there are no traffic police in the ruins of this city, so he can drive freely. This car can carry 17 tons of goods, and it's just a short distance from the territory. Moving will start tomorrow. If there's no danger here, it's not a problem to make 2 round-trip trips. Getting off the car, Feng calculated some data in his heart while reading the standard load engraved on the car. In the fog, Feng and his group walked for several hours, but due to their slow pace, they only walked about 5 kilometers longer. And this mall is only a few hundred meters away from the edge of the fog, so it's not a problem to fill a truck with goods and make 2 or 3 trips back and forth. The standard for a car is 17 tons, but overloading it is not a problem. If you make 2 trips, a total of 40 tons of supplies is not a problem. This is a huge improvement for the territory. Moreover, there is also my personal space, and in an hour, the speed of the vehicle is enough to return to my territory. In this way, adding hundreds of tons of supplies to the territory is very easy. After completing his calculations, Feng became increasingly happy and led his soldiers into the mall. Along the way, he could see shops selling clothes, shoes, and socks. Most of them walked into the interior of the mall, and only then did Feng see that half of the back of a huge mall was gone. However, due to the lack of half, the open space prevented the entire mall from becoming extremely dim. Continuing forward, we arrived at the gap and looked on both sides. We could see that on this side of the mall, it was as if someone had drawn a line and cut it neatly. Along this line, all the tall buildings on both sides have been neatly cut. Feng knew that this situation was caused by the chaotic space in the foggy world, and the other half of the mall, or in other words, the other half of the city, was moved to an unknown place by the foggy space. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Within the Mall. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Within the mall. Standing at the gap of the shopping mall, Feng continued to look on both sides. Only then did he realize that the urban area was only 1 square kilometer in size, and the surrounding areas were cut away by the chaotic and foggy space. He didn't know where else it was. In other parts of the ruins of this city, there is a lush forest, with no visible border at all. But in the distance, you can see the tall foggy edge, and it can be determined that this plot of land is only 7 or 8 kilometers in radius. As soon as you step into the mall, along the way are shops full of various clothes, shoes, and clothes, filling each room. The soldiers who followed Feng had never seen so many clothes before. The dazzling array of gorgeous clothes, shoes, and hats dazzled the soldiers' eyes. As they walked, the soldiers kept their eyes fixed on both sides. Even if you throw one piece at a time, it's enough for everyone in the entire territory to wear clothes, and they're all so beautiful, the soldiers thought in shock. Your Highness. A soldier squad leader following Feng found it difficult to establish a channel. These are all clothes, aren't I really dizzy? Of course not, Feng introduced with a smile as he looked at the shocked eyes of the soldiers around him. With so many clothes, our family can all wear them now. But it's not about taking these clothes now. Come with me first, let's go over there and find food first. Watching Feng's calm expression, the soldiers around him who were in a state of shock quickly recovered. I admired the Lord's ability to ensure peace in such a situation. Undoubtedly, Lord, seeing so many clothes can still be so calm. At the same time, I feel inferior and ashamed of my previous shock. Yes. Next, I roughly walked around the mall and Feng secretly counted the data. The entire mall was missing about 1/3 of the area. But other areas are well preserved, including over 30 clothing stores of various brands, as well as various jewelry, luggage, and toy stores. Of course, there are also many drinks and restaurants, but because there is no one around, most of the food stored in the restaurant is rotten and inedible, but various utensils are quite a few. Although food is inedible, various types of pots and pans are not lacking, as well as tables, chairs, and benches. These modern products are also rare things for Feng territory. Under the leadership of Feng, a group of soldiers strolled around as if they had entered heaven, but did not find any monsters. Only some small animals appeared in the mall. Finally, after wandering around and scouting around, without discovering any monsters, Feng and his soldiers finally arrived at the supermarket. Looking around the entire supermarket, a large amount of supplies were still neatly piled up on the shelves. In an instant, all the soldiers couldn't believe the abundance of supplies and rubbed their eyes. However, in the cooked food area of the supermarket, the food in the fruit and vegetable area has already rotted and spoiled, and there is still a pungent smell permeating the entire supermarket. But there were no issues with the packaged food on the shelves, and Richie found the grain area to take a look. The packaged rice, flour, and other staple foods were also edible, and the bags of salt, oil, and sugar were all precious resources in Feng's eyes. However, all the soldiers had almost never seen these things and didn't know what they were. That big truck can be driven, and if we hurry up, we can make 2 round-trip trips, no, 3 times. The materials we can carry are enough to make the territory live a prosperous life for a period of time. Looking at the empty supermarket that seemed like a human suddenly disappearing, Feng quickly thought to himself. At the same time, he found the warehouse of the supermarket at the first moment, where he saw various piled-up goods. Among them, making precious grains, this place has been piled up into a small mountain. Perhaps it is because this supermarket has just restocked, and the grain in the warehouse is exceptionally abundant. Ha ha ha. Seeing at least hundreds of tons of grain and various neatly arranged supplies, Feng suddenly felt a wave of happy troubles. After laughing, Feng spoke up. It's already dark now. We'll start moving tomorrow. Let's find a place to rest first. A group of people walked through the aisle of the supermarket. On the way, Feng picked up some packaged food from the shelves and instructed the soldiers not to start a fire and to eat cooked food directly. Meanwhile, for the safety of the group, Feng found a well-preserved small conference room and personally distributed the food he held to all the soldiers. "Lord, how do you want to eat these things?" A soldier flipped back and forth at the food in his hand and bit it, realizing he couldn't move it. Feng looked at a chicken leg he had found and said to the soldiers surrounding him, "These are all sealed foods that can be stored for a long time. Look at me and learn from me how to eat these things." While laughing, Feng gave examples of how to eat these things for everyone. "Because in a different world, I don't know what will happen next, so Feng doesn't light a fire at night. The group takes closed packaged cooked foods such as bread, chicken legs, ham sausages, etc. that Feng found. So, from this opening, tear open the packaging, and then you can eat the things inside directly. Everyone takes turns eating, pay attention to caution. Everyone around us can see that there is plenty of food, so be sure to take care of it. Everyone is full, so work hard tomorrow." After teaching everyone how to open the packaging and boosting everyone's morale, Feng whispered, "Yes, Lord." A group of soldiers sat in this small conference room, learning from Feng's movements, tearing open packaging bags, biting down the food inside, and chewing it. When the food filled with modern seasoning entered the mouths of these soldiers, all of them were conquered by the delicious taste, their eyes widened, and they looked at the food in their hands with disbelief. "What kind of thing is this? It's too delicious. It's really delicious. It would be great if I could eat something like this every day." Even though these are the most basic foods in modern society, they are unimaginable deliciousness for the residents of territories that often lack salt and seasoning. This kind of thing called bread is so soft and sweet. This chicken leg is really delicious. Is there any other type of meat? And what is this called ham sausage made of? It's so delicious. Watching the soldiers discussing eating with excitement on their faces, Feng also wore a smile on his face. After finding a place to sit down, Feng took out a piece of bread, tore the package, and took a bite. The sweet and greasy taste filled his mouth, which made Feng, who has been eating porridge for many days, feel unimaginable delicious. He wanted to eat the whole bread and fill his stomach with such food. End of this chapter.